Good morning, Gladiators. Today is Friday, December 4th. So today we're going to talk about making predictions and what that looks like. You can take a moment to press pause to this video and watch this video that talks about the strategy of making predictions. So a prediction is an educated guess about what will happen later in the text, based on things that have already happened, informed by things that you know. So you should not be making like outlandish or uncharacteristic predictions that are not very possible. So you're required to make an inference because this is something that hasn't happened yet. You're going to infer maybe some actions or some events that could occur. You're going to think about the text first, about what has already happened. Has the author left us any clues? Remember, clues to tell us what happens at the end is called foreshadowing. Then consider what you know, what is likely to occur next. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about the different stages of grief. We have been mentioning this as we are reading the novel. And throughout the novel, the author takes our protagonist, Stephen, through the stages of grief. So denial and isolation is the first step. At first, we tend to deny the loss has taken place. And this is not necessarily the loss as in a death. This is more of like the change in everyday life and the fact that Stephen's younger brother, Jeffrey, has leukemia. And so the loss of normal at this point would be the loss that we're talking about. So any withdrawal from usual social contacts, if you stop hanging around with your friends or family members, and this stage may last a few moments or even longer. And so thinking about the novel, did Stephen go through a moment where he was in denial of what was happening, or did he isolate himself from his friends? So the next stage is anger. The grieving person may then be furious at the person who has inflicted the hurt, or at the world for letting it happen. He may be angry with himself for letting the event take place, even if it's realistically nothing that could have stopped it. So at what point does Stephen feel anger? And then we have bargaining. This was pretty apparent in the novel. The grieving person makes bargains. If I do this, then this will happen, or you will take the loss away, or my brother won't die, or he won't continue to be sick. And then depression. The person feels numb, although anger and sadness may remain underneath. So we haven't gotten to the resolution of the novel yet, and so we're not sure about his acceptance, if there is going to be an acceptance by the time we get to the end of the novel, but we'll be making a prediction of acceptance at the end of class today. So if you are in Zoom, you will be given a number, and that number is going to represent the breakout room that you're going to be in and the stage of grief that you are going to be exploring using our protagonist, Stephen, in the novel. So you will fill in a handout, the stages of grief handout that's in Schoology, and you're going to give an example from the novel to represent the stage of grief that you were assigned. Every person in your group must give one example. So add your initials to the end of your example. So you are working together in a group to kind of bounce ideas off each other, but everyone will be doing their own portion of the assignment. If you are working asynchronously, then you're just going to pick one stage of grief you'd like to find throughout the novel, add it to the handout, include your name so that we can see that you did the work. So let me show you what that looks like. We're going to open up the activity. Those are the same directions that I just read. You're going to click on this link and it's going to take you to this handout. You will be filling out an example from the novel based on your stage of grief. Don't forget to add your initials, and so each member will offer an example of the novel, and they should be separate, different examples. So when you are done with that, we're going to read chapter 15. The audio and the PDF is there, and then you're going to finish off with the discussion post. So think about what you've read so far in the novel, in addition to this week's chapters and the last stage of grief, which is acceptance. Answer this question. Will Stephen find acceptance as the last stage of grief? Based on what you've read, make a prediction in the discussion post. How will this look, and when will it take place? Please provide details. And so we're not sure at all what's going to happen at the end of the novel, but we're going to predict what might happen and if Stephen will be able to accept that event as the final stage of grief. And that's all we have for today, Gladiators. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend.